Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're tackling a concept that honestly completely flips how we view the universe. We're going to explore this mind-bending micro to macro theme of our world. You know, how the absolute tiniest, seemingly invisible actions can directly dictate the massive, earth-shattering events of our lives. Yep, we're talking about the butterfly effect. So I want you to start by picturing a seemingly insignificant event. Just imagine a single raindrop falling from a gray cloud. Or picture a car on a quiet road swerving just, I don't know, an inch to avoid a pebble. Or even think about yourself choosing to walk down a different street on your way to work instead of your usual route. Now ask yourself, what if that tiny, almost invisible choice had the power to fundamentally alter the entire course of human history? It sounds like straight-up science fiction, doesn't it? But as we'll see today, it's very, very real.
Section 1. The illusion of control.
You know, it's just human nature to want to believe the universe is this predictable clockwork machine. We really like to think that if we just understand the gears well enough, we can predict exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, or next year. But the butterfly effect totally shatters that myth. It states that in complex, nonlinear systems, the absolute smallest change in initial conditions can lead to vastly different and entirely unpredictable outcomes. And what's super fascinating here is that this didn't start in some dusty philosophy class. It actually began as a strict, data-driven scientific observation about weather patterns. But it was so profound that it quickly escaped the lab and became one of the most provocative concepts in modern thought. Section 2. A mathematical accident. So let's go back to the early 1960s. A meteorologist named Edward Lorenz was right at the cutting edge of his field, running these early computer models to try and simulate and predict weather systems. And one day, a simple, totally innocent mathematical accident changed everything. Lorenz was in the middle of running a trial, and to save just a little bit of time, he decided to take a shortcut. Instead of entering the exact, incredibly precise numerical value from his input data, which was 0.506127, he just rounded it off. He simply typed in 0.506. Now, that rounded number created a variance of less than 1 part in 1,000. I mean, it was literally microscopic. Lorenz fully expected the computer to spit out a result that was nearly identical to his previous runs. But it didn't. That tiny little variance compounded through the equations, snowballing mathematically until it resulted in a completely, radically new weather pattern.
To explain this wild phenomenon to the public, Lorenz came up with a famous illustration. Step 1. A butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil. Step 2. That tiny disturbance in the air pressure creates a compounding chain reaction. And step 3, weeks later, a tornado touches down in Texas. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is this. He wasn't saying the butterfly literally causes the tornado. He was demonstrating how extraordinarily sensitive complex systems are to their initial states. A single flap alters the air, which alters a breeze, which alters a weather front. The whole clockwork machine idea, totally broken.
Section 3. History's fragile, branching tree. If we accept this as a fundamental rule of nature, we really have to change how we view the past. History is not just a series of inevitable cause and effect milestones. It wasn't always destined to happen exactly the way it did. Instead, history is more like a highly fragile, endlessly branching tree. Let's look at one of the most consequential moments in human history to prove this, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914. Just walk through this timeline with me. Minute 1, his driver takes a wrong turn. Just a simple, everyday mistake. Minute 10, the assassin, who had actually previously given up, happens to be stopped for sandwich right where that car stalls out. Minute 15, a gunshot rings out. And from that sandwich and that wrong turn, the entire 20th century is born. World wars, massive political revolutions, the shifting borders of entire continents, all of it hinged on a wrong turn and a deli sandwich. If the car hadn't stalled, or if the gun had simply jammed, the world as we know it would look entirely different today.
These aren't just fun historical hypotheticals to think about. They are stark reflections of the radical interconnectedness of our world. Monumental global shifts are routinely built upon a foundation of trivial, wildly unpredictable accidents. And man, it forces us to confront a pretty humbling reality. Think about your life right now, your job, your home, the very fact that you exist right now. All of it is the direct result of literally billions of invisible butterfly flaps made by ordinary people long before you were even born.
Section 4. The philosophical weight. Okay, so we've talked about the weather and we've talked about global history, but let's zoom back in on you.
The individual. If the world's top meteorologists cannot predict the weather 3 weeks from now because the system is just too complex, we certainly cannot predict the long-term, decades-out impact of the decisions we're making today. And this realization triggers kind of a dual emotional reaction. Now, what's really interesting about these two reactions is that on the one hand, yeah, it's terrifying. It plainly states that our ability to perfectly control our future is an absolute illusion. But on the exact same token, it is profoundly liberating. Because if the future is unwritten, it highlights the immense, unparalleled significance of the individual. Your choices matter, because absolutely everything matters. I actually want to read this quote directly from the source material, because it lands the philosophical weight of this so perfectly. Quote, "Our personal choices, the kindness we show, the goals we pursue, the people we influence, hold a weight that ripples outward in ways we may never fully grasp." End quote. Seriously, if a rounded decimal can create a totally new weather pattern, just imagine what a single act of kindness can do across a lifetime. Small actions really do cascade into massive changes. Section 5. Embracing the chaos. We so often look for these grand, destined reasons behind the trajectory of our lives. We constantly search for clean, simple logic in the messiness of our everyday events. But my advice to you, based on the reality of the butterfly effect, is to just stop. Stop searching for perfect predictability, and instead start finding the beauty in the chaos of this deeply complex system we live in. You are never just an observer of history. You are a force within it. We're all participants in a system of infinite complexity. Our world is not a static museum. It's a dynamic, shifting, and profoundly sensitive ecosystem. Even your most minor actions are actively being woven into the fabric of the future. You are setting the winds in motion. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What will your next butterfly flap be? The next time you make a decision today, no matter how tiny, no matter how insignificant it might seem in the moment, remember the butterfly. Remember that you hold the power to shape the future in ways you can't even begin to imagine. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep exploring and keep flapping those wings.